The press conference is getting underway in Whakatāne. We are expecting the Deputy Police Commissioner to speak shortly, and they are opening with a karakia.
Me te māngai hei tautoko mai, a nei, ake nei, a. He tō mātou matuni te rangi, e nei opononga e tuku whakamoimiti atu ana ki a koe moa una manaakitanga, i tēnei o ngā kaupapa, kua whakakao nei tātou i tēnei rangi. Tuku whakamoimiti ki a koe, kia tauiho, kia haumarutia, ngā whānau, kua pā mai tēnei o ngā aitua a ki runga. I uhia koe te hao tau wairua ki roti a rātou, kia mohio mai koe, kia mohio mai rātou, ko koe aihoa, gloria ki tō ingoa tapu. Āmene.
Good evening, and thank you, Joe. I'm Clinton O'Dear, the Group Controller of the Bay Plenty Civil Defence Emergency Management Group, and I'm leading the response here in Whakatāne. Within the past few hours, you've received updates from the National Crisis Management Centre, GNS experts, and a short clinical update. That is the most up-to-date information we have at this time in those areas. And I appreciate most of you are here tonight to hear from Deputy Commissioner Mike Clement on the details of the recovery plan. I'm going to briefly hand over to Mayor Judy Turner for a few words before Deputy Commissioner Mike Clement comes forward, and then we'll take questions at the end. Thank you.
Kia ora. The past 3 days have been incredibly difficult for our community, but more particularly for several of our families. Both the families and the community have been asking for action, and it is pleasing to hear that there is the development of a plan to retrieve bodies from Whakaari White Island. We are waiting with hope for an outcome that sees families reunited. To those who are going to undertake this recovery, we wish you all the best, and we will be praying for you. And I would like to now hand over to Mike for the details.
Kia ora koutou. We have a plan. The team has been working tirelessly throughout the day, as I promised they would, and at lunchtime today they presented me with options for consideration. I want to pay my deepest respect to the professional people across many agencies, not just police, defence, mines rescue, FENS and others, for the deep commitment they have made in a short space of time. It might seem like a long time to many who are waiting, but in terms of the task that they've undertaken on our behalf, on my behalf, it has been an incredible effort. The risk that I spoke about this morning has not passed. You heard this morning about my concerns about the activity with regard to the volcano and what that meant for the development of any plan. And that's why we have had to be particularly cautious with regard to that planning process. We don't expect anything to change overnight or tomorrow with regard to the risk on White Island. But we have planned on the basis that that will be the case. It won't be lost on you that a C-130 Hercules aircraft landed at Whakatāne Airport this afternoon. It brought with it specialist people and equipment so that we have the right capability on the ground to undertake this task, given that risk that I talked to you about. Not everyone in New Zealand Police, or indeed New Zealand Defence or those other agencies that I spoke about, has the skills necessary. These are very specialist skills, and the people who are going to be protected by the equipment they wear tomorrow are few and far between. And so we have spent considerable time making sure that we had the right people with the right skills and the right equipment here this evening so that we can move tomorrow. I'm not going to go into any great detail with regard to the plan. I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank this community. I want to thank whānau for their patience. And I'm very confident that they understand the reason why it has taken time. There is not a zero risk with regard to this plan. It does come with risk. And our job has been to very carefully consider the implications of that risk as we've gone about the planning process. There have been many conversations with many high-level leaders across the organisations. because at the end of the day, the buck stops at the top. So shortly after first light tomorrow, NZDF assets, people and capability will deploy to the island, assisted by specialist capabilities from across other agencies, including New Zealand Police. They will go on to the island and they will make every effort to recover all of the bodies from the island and return them to the Wellington. And from there, we will move those bodies back to the mainland. I have to emphasise that the risk has not gone. The risk remains present. And you heard the GNS expert Nico this morning talk about what that means in reality, what the mountain is doing, what the volcano is doing in terms of all of the indicators. I expect as the morning progresses, we will get a very clear sense of whether the plan that I've talked to you about is going to work. But it is subject to things that are beyond our control. The mountain itself, the volcano, the weather, and other matters, environmental factors that we don't control. And then there's the assets, the very specialised assets. A lot has to go right for this to work. And you're at a distance just like I am. And so we will all be waiting tomorrow morning while we make sure that the people who are putting themselves in harm's way in the interests of recovering those bodies, our thoughts and our prayers and our love will be with them, I am confident. So we will play things by ear, literally. We will make calls as the morning goes by. There are many decision points to be made, and the chances of success will be determined, as I said, by things beyond our control in some respects. I want to thank you once again for your patience. I want to thank you for taking the messages that are so critically important to those who can't be here in Whakatāne with us, because it's important that they get a sense of confidence about what's been going on here in Whakatāne, and you play an incredibly important role with regard to that. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
You suggested this morning that some concessions might be made in terms of having to do forensic identifications at the time.
That's right.
Will you be compromising what you have to do there just to be able to get off that island as quickly as possible? And how do the families feel about that?
So I've just been down at the Wānanga with some of the whānau and other whānau who are not here. We will communicate my message to them by audio file. I think I said this morning that my intuition was, and it's played out, is that the best option might be to get on to the island, do what we have to do as quickly as possible and get off the island. So it does come with trade-offs. But I think it's far more important in terms of the priorities that we apportion to the task at hand, that we get the bodies off first and then work with the consequences of that trade-off that I referred to.
Mike, what was the reaction from the families when you told them?
I think overwhelming support. I just, like I've said to you, is that they've been incredibly patient. It's deeply emotional for people. I understand that. But I think they also understand that no loss of life, no careless loss of life is going to make the situation better.
Mr. Clement, given that the risks haven't changed, the conditions on the ground haven't changed, what changed for you to be able to make that decision to go ahead with the recovery operation?
So I think I indicated this morning, and it's proved to be true, is that I needed to have a plan, or we all needed to have a plan, including the Commissioner, who will be here tomorrow. We all, and the Commander of Defence Force, needed to have a plan, given that risk, that satisfied them that the mitigations were such that we think that we can get onto the island and look after our people to the best, in the best way that we can. But nothing is foolproof. This is not a zero-risk game. So we will have lots of decision points. There's lots of good commanders out at White Island on the Wellington.
What's your biggest concern about tomorrow?
The mountain, the volcano. We don't control it. You know that the pattern of activity is atypical, and in part at least that resulted in an eruption on Monday. So the risk remains with regard to that. My other concerns are about the weather, the direction of the wind, the sea state, because they all bring risk, they all add complexity, each and of themselves, without worrying about the combination. So let there be no mistake. It is not a zero risk game, and people are putting themselves on the front line to do the right thing.
How long do you believe this operation will take?
I expect it to take the balance of the morning.
So a number of hours?
Yes, a number of hours.
And how many people will be involved?
Well, there'll be lots of people involved, but on the island itself, I think you're referring to probably about 8.
How will those people be involved? Is it one C-130?
Pardon me?
Is it one C-130?
The C-130, the Hercules, that won't be involved tomorrow. I just thought I'd better raise it because I'm sure that people saw it land at Whakatāne Airport. I'm sure it's not a daily occurrence.
So it's going to be other helicopters?
Yes, there will be helicopters involved, yes.
In terms of the selection of the people who are going onto the island, how have they been chosen? Have they volunteered? What risks have they been made aware of?
People volunteer when they put uniforms on and they develop their skills, and in this case, incredible skill. And so in a disciplined organisation like NZDF, they are fronting up to do what they get paid to do, what they are committed to and dedicated to doing, and do very well. And I'm incredibly proud of them, and I have huge respect for them, as you will, I've no doubt.
Are any agencies opposed to this operation?
I don't think any agency is opposed. All I've felt is a deep sense of commitment to find a plan that we think that can work. And what we've had to build into the plan is lots of opportunity to bail out of that plan if things don't go our way.
Mike, are these people that you're talking about who volunteer and put their commitment, are we talking about bomb disposal type experts?
They're New Zealand Defence Force staff.
Where will the families be as this operation is being undertaken? Will they be at Marae or will they be out on the road?
When we undertake the operation tomorrow, everybody other than those directly involved will be back here on the mainland.
Mark, are the SAS involved in this?
New Zealand Defence Force staff will be involved.
Clement, are you able to confirm the names of the people that you're hoping to retrieve tomorrow? I know you said that you can't confirm their identity, but are you able to release the names of the people that are on that island that you hope to bring back to the mainland?
I think that's been released onto the website already, so this morning when I referenced it, there was a group of 9, so 8 of those are the people that we believe to be on the island.
What's your plan if the island starts erupting? How quickly can you get those people on?
It's a good question. We have planned for an eruption, so we'll have GNS scientists as part of the team that I spoke about, this big team, not going onto the island, but out at HMNZS Wellington. So they will be looking live at the information that they're getting from the island and interpreting what they see. And we'll better make a call in that sense, but the reality is we don't always get advance notice, and that's what happened on Monday. So what we've built into the plan is getting people off the island, and they will be wearing protective equipment that those that were on the island weren't wearing on Monday, but that does not mean to say that they are fully protected from what might happen if there's an eruption.
Is there any precedent for this?
The military tends to be protective of methodology and tends to be protective of its capabilities, so I know you don't want to go into a blow-by-blow of how this is happening. Broad brush, however, can you please describe to us the operation?
No, I can't, but good question.
Is there a
I mean,
precedent
there's
for this type of operation? Has a similar mission like this happened somewhere in the world?
Well, if it has, I'm not.
Is this unprecedented?
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, but I've been dealing with what we've got in front of us here, which is Whakaari White Island, and the circumstances that we are confronted with here.
Are we talking about airlifting? Sorry, we're talking about. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry about that.
That's right.
We're talking about airlifting the bodies. I mean, helicopters actually above the volcano while they are airlifted. I mean, even in terms of that generic information, it's okay.
So you say. There are lots of choices that we're going to retain. So we've been careful not to make sure that the plan is so inflexible that we can't deal with anything that emerges in front of us. So I've talked about helicopters, I've talked about ships, I've talked about very specialist staff, and they're going onto the island to physically recover people from the island. So we've got as many options open to us as we can plan in, given the circumstances, and given what we see play out in front of us, the reality being on the island, as opposed to the planning process, we will elect those options as they emerge in front of us.
Have you given a commitment to the families that if tomorrow's operation is abandoned, that recovery teams will return at a later date?
I've given a deep commitment to the whānau that we will do everything within our capability to develop a plan that gives us the best chance to recover the bodies to be returned to them, so that we can close out the need to be going back to the island anytime soon.
2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Are all the families in favour of the plan?
Well, the reality is, and I think you probably know this, is that not all of the families are here. So we're working through a process for those that aren't here, of making sure that they hear what I said at the wānanga just now. So we've recorded what I said to the families there, and we will offer those people the audio file of what happened there when I spoke about it. So I haven't asked for the support from each of the families, but I think if anything, if what I heard at the wānanga is anything to go by, then I think that we go with their love and respect and with fingers crossed.
Well, Mike, you're an experienced police officer. How would you describe your feelings ahead of what is ahead of you in the next 12, 24 hours?
My feelings are that, I think I've made it really clear, is that we're here to do a job. We understand the expectation from everybody. I hope that you understand from our perspective we've got to do this safely, or as safely as we can given the circumstances. I know you all respect that. So, of course I'm worried. I would be inhuman if I did not worry. So, of course I'm going to worry tonight. And I hope that we all pray for those that are going to put themselves in harm's way tomorrow in the interests of doing the right thing and recovering those bodies for whānau.
Is there any international input into tomorrow's operation?
Lots of advice.
Nobody will be actually on the team then?
No.
Will you be prepared to make a call for them to pull out if these circumstances that you say happen?
The tactical decisions on the ground are with NZDF.
Did you say they're going to be, I think I heard earlier that you said they were going to be brought back to Wellington, or is that right? Brought back,
sorry, HMNZS Wellington, the ship, the Navy frigate that's out there at the island. Sorry, yes, I should make that clear.
They're going to be leaving from the ship to the island and then back to the ship?
Yes, that's right. And then they will come back to the mainland.
What do you think this says about New Zealand's psyche? You're talking about going to retrieve bodies of people who cannot be saved, but you're risking further life to comfort grieving people. Is this a proud moment for you?
I am incredibly proud that people have deeply committed to it. I think it would be a psyche shared across the globe. I don't think we're different in that sense to any other country. Every country would be grieving for loved ones in the same circumstances, and I'm sure I can speak confidently that they would all bring their expertise and deep commitment to the very same task that we are bringing to it tomorrow.
Thank you, sorry.
Just a couple more questions. I don't mean to shut you off, folks, but there's got to be a finish somewhere, surely.
Is it the SAS that are involved in this operation?
NZDF forces will be helping us this tomorrow.
Utilising Mark Law, as Stuart Nash put forward as sort of a directive, have you used his knowledge to sort of create a bit of this plan?
There's been a deep association from Tim and Mark with the development of our plan, and they will be with us tomorrow.
Did the police go to the Defence Force to seek their help, or if the Defence Force come forward and said, we want to help you with this operation?
Is very routinely the case, and it's no exception here. Defence, FENS, Mines Rescue have been with us from the outset. They're the very first people that come together with us when there's a challenge like this in front of us. They have been here. They just want to be part of the solution. They want to bring their skills to bear, and I'm deeply grateful for that. One more question, folks.
Who's the person that is actually in charge of tomorrow's operation to make that final call? Is that you, or is that someone within NZD?
No, once I've, as the commander of the recovery, approve of the plan, having had my commissioner tell me that he's okay with the plan, and the Commander of Defence Force to say that. So from an on-the-ground perspective here, I've said we've got the right approvals, we're going with the plan. In terms of the tactics out on the water, on the island, I won't be there, I'll be here, just like you will. And so those tactical decisions will be made by those that have control of the asset, which is NZDF.
If there's an eruption tonight, will this operation be abandoned?
That's the last question, right?
If there's an eruption tonight, will this operation be abandoned?
We'll be coming back to the table if there's an eruption tonight. Yes, we definitely will.
Sorry.
One more, okay. Can you guys count, or what?
cultural imperatives be upheld?
Ngāti Awa have been involved since I've arrived, and I know that they've been involved. This is their place. Right.
So how will they roll out tomorrow with the karakia and stuff?
Yes, absolutely, they'll be involved. I'm not going to go into the detail of that because I don't want to compromise anyone's safety, but they will be deeply involved. They are standing alongside us, and I'm very grateful for that. That's okay.
Are you on the location of all 8 bodies? There's some media reporting that only 6 have been located in the same situation.
Yeah. So the reconciliation that I've talked about previously says that we are missing 8 people. Right. We know through the eyewitness interviews that we've done of those that were there on the island immediately after the eruption, and the drone footage and the other footage that we've got access to, that we can see 6 bodies. Okay. But we know that we are missing 8 people. So tomorrow will be more about going, we know exactly where they are, those 6 people. So our first priority will be to get those 6 people off, and we will have very limited opportunity to look about for the 2 others that we suspect are out there somewhere. But we've done lots of reconnaissance, aerial reconnaissance, and with the eyewitness observations immediately after the eruption, we can't find anything more than 6. It's not to say that they aren't there, but we can't find more than 6. So that's as good as I can get it at the moment, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Anyway, folks, I'll be in touch with you all tomorrow. No doubt you'll be here.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Mike, and everyone. Our thoughts and prayers are with those going out to the island tomorrow on this mission.
And that was the Deputy Police Commissioner Mike Clements there wrapping up the police briefing about the recovery operation that will go ahead at first light tomorrow. He started that press conference by saying, we have a plan. Specialist recovery operators have been brought in from the New Zealand Defence Force along with equipment. 8 people will go onto the island, and the recovery will be staged from the frigate Wellington, which will be off the coast of White Island. He said he would be inhuman if he wasn't worried about the operation, and he will worry through the night. He says the risk has not diminished, but this is clearly the window of opportunity. And he said he believes the thoughts, prayers and love of everyone will be with the team. I am confident.